Hello, this is Raymond Mayfield, and thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast today. Revelation chapter 11 is my subject today. In this chapter, the two witnesses are going to come on the scene. In this chapter, 3.5 years have already elapsed in the tribulation period, and the Antichrist, who has permitted freedom of worship of the temple of Jerusalem, suddenly breaks his covenant with the Jews, and he sets up his image in the temple, and Israel is confused by what has happened, and all of a sudden they are instructed to worship the Antichrist, who has taken over Jerusalem. But God is not unaware of what is going on. God is going to send two witnesses on this earth to counteract what Satan is doing on this earth. God is always going to have a counterattack to Satan, because we know greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. After the measuring of the temple, the two witnesses come on the scene. They will be sent to encourage the people of Israel. These two witnesses are sent to show signs and wonders for 3.5 years. Think what it's going to be like when these two preachers show up from heaven and start preaching the gospel of the kingdom of God to all the Jewish people, and many are going to be saved. They are going to give the Antichrist and the false prophet and the devil a lot of trouble during those days. And the identity of the witnesses, and these witnesses will come from heaven, of course, and they will have supernatural power. They will preach and prophesy for 3.5 years, and they're going to be clothed in sackcloth in verse number 3. These men have never really died before, and if you study the Bible, there's really two men in history that have never died before, and those two men are Elijah and Enoch. But they are going to be killed and line the streets of Jerusalem. Apparently, these witnesses will confine themselves just around Jerusalem, but I'm sure they're going to be viewed on satellite and around the world the way television is today. Many people of the world will be able to see exactly what is going on. In verse 7, chapter 11, verse 7 rather, when they have finished their testimonies, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And they celebrate and even send gifts to each other because the witnesses have been killed. And they think, well, we're celebrating now because finally God has been defeated for sure, and his testimonies of all those that have died is interesting, that they're going to no longer give us trouble anymore. But that's going to be a short-lived thing, because after leaving them in the streets of Jerusalem openly where people can view them and see them, suddenly something happens dramatic over there. They're resurrected right before their very eyes, and isn't that going to be something to behold? They're going to be resurrected, and they're going to be caught up to heaven, and so all of a sudden Jesus is going to pull his great prophets up into the glory of God. Their duties while they're here on this earth is to convince the Jews that Jesus is the Messiah. Many will be saved during the tribulation period, and I want to tell you, if you're not saved today, this would be a good time to get saved. The time is short. Jesus is coming soon, and I want to encourage you today, look up. Don't be afraid of these things that are come up on the earth, because if you're a Christian, pray that you'll be counted worthy to escape all these things that are going to come up on this earth. This is Pastor Raymond Mayfield. Thank you so much for listening today.